Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're jumping into a really interesting area, online talk, celebrity interactions, and, well, the whole complex issue of public figures who kind of position themselves as experts.
Exactly. And our deep dive today, it's based on some specific bits from a YouTube transcript. The video is called Corey Holcomb Destroys Dr. Cheyenne Bryant Again After Paul Pierce Interview, and it's from the Fawcett Media channel.
Okay, so what's our mission here? What are we trying to pull out of this?
Well, we're aiming to distill the key insights from this material for you. There's a central conflict we need to unpack. Comedian Corey Holcomb's long-running critique of Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. It's pretty vocal.
Right.
And then there's this more recent, very public interaction between Dr. Bryant and NDA legend Paul Pierce. That's kind of the core event.
Okay, good to know. So let's dive in. The source says Corey Holcomb has been, well, pretty consistent about his disapproval of Dr. Bryant, like from day one.
Yeah, exactly. From day one. The source stresses he made his issues very clear, pretty much right when she started popping up on bigger platforms like, Cam Newton's podcast.
And it goes deeper than just recent stuff. Does the source say why he was so against her from the start?
It does. What's really striking is the claim that Holcomb knew how she got down back then. That's the phrase used. Meaning, he supposedly knew about her past behavior, her methods, as soon as she started getting noticed.
So like a pre-existing awareness?
That's the implication, yeah. That he had some prior understanding of her alleged modus operandi. And this apparently fueled what the source calls a fervent disapproval that hasn't let up.
Okay, fervent disapproval. And what about these alleged methods? The source apparently gets specific.
Oh, yeah. It doesn't mince words. It claims Dr. Bryant was often disrespectful to men on these shows. It even uses this phrase, yick, yick, yicking it up.
Yick, yick, yicking it up. What does that mean in this context?
Well, the way the source uses it, it sounds like describing a really quick, almost aggressive, dismissive back and forth, like rapid-fire talking to shut someone down or belittle them. Sometimes, like right after she appeared on a show.
Okay. That paints a picture.
It does. And then there's the really blunt accusation. The source calls her a fake doctor. And maybe more pointedly, not qualified to have a conversation with a slick ass from the streets.
Okay, slick ass from the streets. What's the implication there? Street smarts.
Exactly. Someone who gets the, unwritten rules, the hidden agendas, maybe. And it goes further, claiming people who give her credit ain't no proof they are what they say. It really hits on that theme of authenticity versus just perceived authority online.
Right, and that connects to what the source calls her main game, doesn't it? Something about trauma bonding.
Yes, exactly. Trauma bonding. This is presented as her core tactic. The source claims she uses her psychology knowledge to latch people to them through their trauma.
How so?
Specifically, by pivoting off people's abuse by men over their lifetime. That's the specific claim. It suggests, tapping into vulnerabilities people have when they're seeking help online, especially with emotional stuff.
Wow. So how does the source say she pulls this off?
Well, connecting the dots in the source material, it suggests it's kind of calculated. The source notes she uses certain buzzwords like get vertical and people supposedly fall for them. She's described as manipulative and disingenuous, like pretending to know less about something than one really does.
Okay, and who is this allegedly aimed at?
The source argues this tactic is often directed at men who are, quote, not fortified in this game called the streets. Basically, people lacking the street smarts or maybe the cynicism to see through it.
Right.
And this allows her, according to the source, to shine in front of people that are on the simp side of the game. Simp being used there to mean, overly deferential, maybe easily swayed.
Okay, so let's talk about how this plays out with big names. Cam Newton's show apparently blew her up.
Yeah, that's what the source credits with giving her major exposure. But even there, it claims she was disrespectful towards him.
How so? What did she allegedly do?
It alleges she attempted a gotcha moment, trying to reprimand him for how they're living their life, specifically regarding his relationships with the mothers of his children.
And how did Cam handle it, according to the source?
Well, the source observes that Cam was trying to be a gentleman about it all, but in that context, the source perceived him as, and this is their term, a sucker for hoes, suggesting he came off as maybe naive or easily handled in that exchange.
Right.
And the source suggests she was sort of scoring points with that approach, trying to get congratulations from the chorus of women online.
Okay. But then things changed with Paul Pierce. The source calls that interaction a masterclass. What was different?
Yeah, that's presented as a real contrast. Paul Pierce, he's older, 47, and the source describes him as more street-fortified than maybe others she'd talked to online.
So, more experienced, maybe less easily flustered.
That's the idea. And his response is called a masterclass because he apparently confronted her directly, using their shared geographical background, Long Beach, versus her supposed Inglewood roots.
How did he do that?
He allegedly told her something like, I know exactly who you are. I know your people. I know where you come from. I know how people in our area operate. Just boom, straight at her.
Wow. Direct?
Very. And according to the source, this left her with no defense. It says she ended up, quote, hanging herself because she just didn't have an answer.
And she tried to push back.
The source notes she tried age-shaming him using the pawpaw thing.
Pawpaw thing, like calling him an old man.
Yeah, exactly, like a grandpa figure, trying to dismiss him. But the source contrasts that by pointing out, hey, he's a successful guy, he has kids, implying her situation might be, well, different.
It seems like the source sees a pattern then. Nick Cannon is mentioned too.
Briefly, yeah. Just that he was also trying to be a gentleman when she was on his platform.
Yeah.
And interestingly, Ryan Cameron, the radio guy in Atlanta, the source says he was trying to stick up for her, but then dismisses him as not qualified to talk to real people and someone who didn't know her history. It raises questions about who defends whom online and why.
Definitely. Which brings us to her alleged background.
Yeah.
The source claims she's erased her history online.
Explicitly, yes. That she scrubbed things like her school background and, quote, how she used to move, meaning, her past behavior, her social conduct, maybe implying things she doesn't want known now.
And the source makes some pretty specific and serious allegations about that past.
Oh, yeah. Quite severe. Things like allegedly creating a fake persona, an AI individual, the source uses a derogatory term, AI nigga, and lying that this person existed.
Wow. Okay.
And other claims, too, like having a security associate who supposedly burned people clothes and even past alleged involvement in a strip club. These are all presented as part of this history she supposedly tried to hide.
That's quite a list of allegations.
It is. And what's interesting is how the source connects this alleged past to her current business practices.
How so? What kind of business stuff?
It details several ways she allegedly makes money, directing people to what the source calls beg pages for donations, offering life coaching sessions, and even a hybrid life coaching certification course.
A certification? For how much?
The source gives a very specific number, $9,950.
$9,950. That's specific.
Right. Plus selling merch, hoodies, T-shirts, books, promoting mental detox retreats in Mexico, and something called DBI financing.
Okay. And the source links all this back to the big pages idea.
Yeah. It presents these ventures as evidence supporting that accusation, and it underpins an even more severe claim about her alleged motives.
Which is?
The source flat out accuses her of being an extortionist, someone who extorts weak men for a living. It's a really harsh escalation from, just being a disputed online figure.
Yeah, from fake doctor to extortionist is a huge jump. That's dark.
Very dark. That's the picture the source paints, absolutely.
So, okay, if all these criticisms exist, according to the source, why did she become popular in the first place?
The source has a take on that, too. It suggests that lames, and it uses that term, implying maybe naive or unsophisticated people, give her credit. They want her on their shows, which helps build her platform. It's framed as a kind of online content supply and demand thing.
So people wanting content helped boost her.
That's the argument. And despite these really heavy critiques from Holcomb, from Pierce, the source points out that she still has very loyal supporters, people who love Dr. Bryant so much and they will listen to what she says, regardless or if she's right or not.
Even after all that.
Apparently so. It even mentions women on TikTok still defending her, arguing she's relevant. It shows that strong loyalty some online figures can command,
Yeah, definitely. Which leads to another interesting point in the source, this idea about sisterhood and something called the yuck yuck phenomenon.
Right, the yuck yuck thing. The source is pretty critical here. It describes it as women pretending to support other women, women they don't even fuck with and can't stand, in reality just doing it for the sisterhood.
And the source sees that as?
As disingenuous, fake solidarity, basically.
Okay. And does it connect this to broader gender dynamics?
It does. It makes this broader claim that in disagreements, women tend to play dumb and play victim and get grace, which men supposedly don't get. And then it introduces this term, white knight syndrome, calls it a scientific term, interestingly.
White knight syndrome. What's that supposed to be?
It's described as men feeling compelled to save women because they just feel like they need saving. And the source claims this dynamic gets manipulated and taken advantage of in America, presumably in situations like the ones being discussed.
Interesting framing it as scientific.
Yeah, it stands out. And finally, the source brings in Corey Holcomb's big concern, calls it his favorite topic. His worry that Dr. Bryant's message is negatively impacting women's minds out here going forward, that it might justify the bullshit that men actually run into.
How so? Connecting it to relationships.
Yeah, contributing to the broken home phenomenon. He argues her message might encourage women to, like, get rid of the responsibility, making that choice to get rid of that family.
So influencing major life choices.
That's the fear expressed, that it could lead to a rude awakening down the line when, accountability comes into play. It's a pretty provocative claim about the real-world impact of these online narratives.
Wow. Okay. This deep dive into the Fawcett Media transcript, it's really given us a stark look at the kind of accusations flying around online. The language is definitely sharp. The claims are intense.
They really are. It leaves you with a lot to chew on about the figures we see online, doesn't it?
For sure.
Absolutely. And as we kind of wrap this up, it really pushes you to think about those broader implications, right? Like, how do we, just as people looking for information or maybe guidance online, how do we actually tell the difference between real expertise and maybe something more manipulative in this huge, often kind of wild landscape of online personality?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It really is. And what role do these big celebrity platforms, or even just audience echo chambers, play in either validating someone or challenging them? How does all that shape how we understand really complex social stuff like relationships and respect?
Yeah. Lots to think about there, especially as, more and more of our lives happen in these digital spaces.
Definitely something to mull over.